Imagine coming back to your vacant property only to find it vandalized, broken into, or worse, occupied by strangers. There was a time I was driving up to a property we were renovating. We were getting pretty close to finishing up the project, and so I wanted to see if I could schedule staging and photographs and all the stuff. I unlocked the front door and I could immediately feel something wasn't quite right. I heard a noise in the back of the house, and you know how they say you go into fight or flight mode? I went charging to the back of the house where I heard the noise. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. When something or someone I care about is under threat, my body involuntarily runs toward that threat. This was my grandma's house that we were renovating, and no one was going to harm it. As I go charging down the hallway, I notice the bathroom lights on, and then it registers in my brain. The light switches in the bathroom are on occupancy sensors, so someone was in the bathroom within the last 10 minutes. There was a real threat, and someone may still be in the home. I retreated to my car where I stood with my back to the street, my face to the house as I dialed 911. Then I called my husband and our project manager to make sure no one was supposed to be there. The police arrived pretty quickly and cleared the property. They didn't find anybody inside. Then they walked the property with me where we discovered the intruder's attempted point of entry, their point of entry, and their point of escape, where they must have cut themselves on a sharp edge because there were blood droplets on the wall. But here's the thing, they came back a couple of days later. The day we installed the kitchen appliances, you know, like the range and the dishwasher, someone came that night and stole them. Here's what I learned. Most burglaries are crimes of opportunity. It was obvious to us that the house was being watched, and when the criminals saw that the house was vacant and we were bringing in new appliances, that was their opportunity. So what can you do to protect a vacant property that either you've inherited, or maybe your parent is in a care facility recovering and their home will be vacant for a time, or maybe it's a rental property that you own and you're in between occupancy. In this video, I'll go over 9 things that you could do to protect your property from theft, vandalism, and squatters. I'm Lisa Kwashnick, a realtor in the Sacramento area, and I teach people who have inherited property how to navigate the complexities so they can confidently maximize the value of their inherited property. One of the first things I advise my clients to do is to put in a phone call to their insurance agent. A lot of times there may be a clause in the insurance policy regarding properties that are vacant longer than 30 days in a row. Have a transparent conversation with your agent about the property. If your loved one will be in a skilled nursing facility for a time, share this information with their insurance broker. If it's a rental property that you're planning on renovating in between tenants, it's a good idea to keep your insurance agent updated. And if it's a property that you've inherited that is now unoccupied, give the insurance provider a call and ask about a vacancy clause. Not only would you want to be protected if there was theft or vandalism, but also what the insurance companies call undiscovered damage when a property sits vacant. If you do this, will your insurance premium go up? It's likely it will, but that's going to be up to you to weigh that risk. The next thing to do is to walk the perimeter of the property and assess any vulnerabilities. I've created a checklist you can use as you walk around. Hopefully there's a link right here that you can access, and I'll also put a link in the description below. You'll want to ask yourself, are there areas that are not well lit at night? Are there any crawl spaces under the house that are open or easy to access? Are all the doors and windows lockable and secure? Pay attention to trees and bushes. Overgrown or under-maintained yards are a sign to bad guys that the home is either vacant or the person living there is vulnerable and not able to maintain the property. Keeping vegetation trimmed and away from the house not only protects the house from water damage and pest infestations, it also eliminates places for criminals to hide. I have a rule about having trees trimmed up so that if you're standing on the curb, you can fully see the windows of the house. It's not only a safety issue, but it's also for curb appeal. Now, if you have a 2-story house, that doesn't mean that they have to be trimmed all the way up that high, but I at least want to have a full view of all of the windows on the bottom floor. I get freaked out when I'm approaching a vacant house and the bushes are so overgrown that I can't see the front door. And if it freaks me out, it freaks buyers out too. So if you're planning on selling the home anytime in the future, get those things trimmed back now so that hopefully by the time you get ready to list the house, they'll have a chance to re-sprout and fill in and look beautiful. The next thing to consider is knocking on the neighbors' doors and just asking them to keep an eye on things. This is our standard practice and it has really helped us out a lot. Of course, you may get that one neighbor calling to let you know that Fred's dog left a deposit on your front yard, but you'll most likely have some really great people paying a little extra attention and watching out for you. If the neighbors know that no one is supposed to be at the property after 7 o'clock at night and they see a U-Haul backed up to the house sitting in the driveway, they'll give you a call. If a sprinkler head broke off and you've got water shooting up in the air, you'll know about it right away. Most of us are territorial by nature, so by asking your neighbors to keep an eye on things, you will be activating their inner watchman on a tower, and they'll be more than happy to help keep the neighborhood safe from predators. I've got a gross story to tell you. We bought a house that we were in the middle of renovating, and the teenage son of the previous occupant kept throwing a brick through our brand new windows and breaking in. We knew who it was because we knocked on the neighbors' doors and they were doing their best keeping an eye on things for us. After we replaced one window, boarded up a second window, and found a used condom on the new laminate flooring, we put in a security alarm. Yes, he broke a third window, but as soon as that alarm went off, he went running out of the house and never came back. Don't say I didn't warn you. Pretty gross, right? Who knew you'd also have to protect your vacant house from STDs? This brings me to the next thing you can do, and that is installing a security system and or video surveillance. There are so many different types of systems you can choose from. There are some that will require Wi-Fi, so you may need internet at the property. There are some systems that offer monitoring, so there'll be a monthly monitoring fee on top of the cost of the equipment. There are some surveillance cameras that have their own data plan, so you don't need Wi-Fi at the property, but you pay a monthly data usage fee like you would for a cell phone provider. And then there's some security systems that simply set off a loud alarm when there's an intruder, alerting the neighbors. I prefer having a monitored system with a battery backup in case the power is cut, but a lot of times that means you're locked into a contract with a provider. What you decide may depend on how long you need the property protected. Another tip off to the bad guys that a property is sitting vacant is the piling up of mail and newspapers and things left on the doorsteps like coupons, door hangers, flyers, or packages. Even if you have all the mail forwarded to another address, there are still mailers that get sent out to every address, and those can pile up pretty quickly. If you can't get to the property regularly to clear the mailbox and front door, then see if a neighbor would be willing to help you out with that. One thing I want to make you aware of is local regulations and ordinances regarding vacant properties. There are some cities and counties that require vacant properties to be registered, meaning you're supposed to let them know if a property is vacant. They may have guidelines and regulations that you'll have to follow. For example, if the property has a pool, all gates may need to be locked. You'll want to do that anyway, and you may be required to drain the pool or maintain it so that it doesn't breed mosquitoes. You may want to call the city and the county where the property is located and ask about their vacant property policy. Next, let's talk about what you could do inside to make it look like someone's home. Of course, having interior and exterior lights on a timer helps. When we had police at another vacant property we were renovating, I'm beginning to realize we have a lot of experience with problems with vacant properties. He told me it's all about making your house more of a deterrent than your neighbors, and that starts with lighting it up. There are some great motion activated spotlights that are hardwired and some that are solar powered too. So don't think you're limited to areas where there's a power source. I don't think it's necessary to have them on every square inch of the property, but having motion activated lights strategically placed is a great deterrent. different. Another thing you can get is a virtual canine. A friend of ours has a cabin in Tahoe and they bought Rex, the virtual canine, to keep the bears away. It was funny because the first time we heard it, we thought they brought their dog up to the cabin. I hate to admit it, but yes, it fooled me. You plug it into a wall outlet and it can sense movement through doors and walls and glass. And as someone approaches the property, Rex starts barking. If you think a fake dog is a bad idea, well, how about a fake TV? Yep, that's a thing too. It's a small device that you plug in and it simulates the light of a TV screen. The light reflects off the walls and it really looks like someone is home watching television. I've got a story of how I fooled the sheriff with the fake TV, but you're gonna have to watch the short video to get that story. I'll put the link to that short in the description below. Thanks for watching today, and if there are things that you do to make it look like someone's home while you're away, leave a comment below. I've heard of people leaving an old pair of shoes by the front or back door, and that's not a bad idea either. So if you've got a tip you're willing to share, let us know. The more we can help each other out, the better we are for it. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.